We are working on section 1.5, collecting data to understand causality. All right. So in this one, we're gonna talk about causality, standards for a good study. Okay, so let's moving to study causality. What is causality? So causality, we mean what causes something to happen, right? It's you can understood in terms of two variables. The first one is treatment variables, which is whether or not specific treatment is used. Another one is outcome or the response variables, and it's whether or not a certain outcome is seen. Okay. So the goal in here is to determine if the treatment variables cause a change in the outcome variables. Okay, so so it's look like, you know, we can say something like what if, right, or what if I do this, right? For example, or will this happen, something like that. So for the study causality, we can have many important questions. One about causality or cause and effect. We can ask a question like that, right? All right, so let's move to the next slide. Here's an example of studying causality. If you want to know whether a certain diet ate, right, if it's work or not, you record. Okay, let's use that. Want to know whether a certain diet work. You record it if the diet A was given, so we need treatment variables. You also need to have result of the weight loss with the outcome of variable. So that that is what you need to record. Okay. Then what are you gonna do? Okay. Let's move to the next one. So we have we're gonna try to comparing the outcome. So as you can see over here, we have two groups, treatment and control group. So so maybe I'm gonna say here action, compare the outcome variable for these two groups, right? One is treatment and control group, right? So treatment is a group that received the treatment or has a characteristic of interest. For the control group, that the group that do not receive the treatment or do not have characteristic of interest. We're going to compare the outcome of these two. All right. So let's move to the next slide. Okay, so this is talking about a placebo So placebo is Hamlet pure or look alike given a place of actual treatment. Let me see. In place of actual treatment, right? So placebo effect is reacting to treatment after being told you receive the treatment. In fact, you are not. Okay. So let's see the next slides. We'll talk about the good practice in studying causality. So we have controlled experiment. Okay. So the control experiments is a researcher assign subject to treatment group. So assign subject to the treatment group. Let me use that color actually. And it can show causality. For the random assignment, random assignment subject to treatment group. Assignment often use technologies balance out difference in the group to minimize the bias. Okay. So, this is the two. This is two good practice in studying causality. We have something else. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, so blindings is also a good practice in studying causality. So blinding has independent party assigned subject to treatment group, and double blindings that researchers do not know who is in the treatment in the group, right? So that is all three good practice in studying causality. So now I'm gonna talk about other types of studies, such as anecdotal evidence. Anecdotal evidence. And anecdotal evidence is a story based on someone else's experiment. Well, this is just based on someone else's experiment, and it's not really common actually. And the other studies are very common also is observation studies, which is the study that we just place into the different group by choice or someone else, and question that. Anecdotal evidence and observation studies that never point to causality, which is cause and effect, right? And only point to association between variables. To establish cause and effects, we're going to use controlled experiments. All right, so let's move to so that's all the types of studies So now we're gonna have some example of causality. So if you notice that when there are long lines going to the beach, so when there's a long line, right, the number of ice cream sales go up. That does not mean the long line to the beach are causing the increase in ice cream sale. So this is an observation study because the number of ice cream sales just go up, but we don't increase in ice cream sales. Okay, so basically you just not give them any treatment, any effect. So that's the reason why there is an observation study. Okay. Confounding variables, variables that that has not been accounted for, but which is causing a difference in groups being studied. So has not been accounted for, causing a difference in the group being studied. For example, a possible confounding variable in the previous example would be the temperature outside, right? So if the temperature is higher, right, and then people want to buy more ice cream, something like that, right? So that's is a confounding variables. So gold standard in experiments. So first is need a large sample size. So then we can account for variability. Secondly, assignment to treatment or group control group, which must be random or controlled by researcher. Placebo is used if appropriate, and study is double blind, okay, to make a gold standard in experiment. Okay. So let's have some statistic in the news. When you see statistic in the news, you should always ask yourself a few questions such as, is this an observation study or a control experiment, right? Let me use other kind of one. Right. If it is control experiment, did it meet the gold standard, right? And then was a paper published in the reputable peer-reviewed journal, right? So so then that's it's a valid news, something like that, or I mean like more qualified, more qualities. Okay. Did the study follow people for a long time or short time? I mean long. So if it's in a long time, it's gonna be a good study, something like that, right? For example, if I talk about like if I see a news about the percentage of people getting COVID, right? So I may gonna say, oh, is this an observation study or control experiment, something like that. So I mean, so depend on that news. Is that the news that just having the percent of the the COVID people, right? So that is observation. But if it was like a like a treatment with giving some some people giving have been given vaccinate and some another groups just no. So then that could be like a control experiments, something like that, right? So you have to also always ask this for question to make a to understand that the statistic in the news. Okay. So the last question, the last one for the last slide for these sessions is about question. So a researcher was studying the effect of fast-paced cartoons on children's attention span. Okay, so let's see. So wait, sorry, I have moved something. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay. Studying the effect of fast-paced cartoon on children attention span. So one group of children was assigned to watch a fast-paced cartoon, and the second one group was assigned to read a book. So after 20 minutes, all the children took a test measuring attention span. So according to this, you can see we split to be two groups. One using, one got the effect from from the cartoon, and the other one just read the book. So so this clearly must be a controlled experiment, because we did we did split it to group, and then we have some some treatment for each group, something like that. So that's my controlled experiment. Okay, so I'm gonna stop. Let me see this into the last one. I'm gonna stop. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop section 1.5 here, and see you in chapter 2 later. Okay.